Hey everyone, and welcome back to Grayson's Bookmark. Here on this channel I make all types of writing and bookish content. Today's video is a bookish one. It's a little beginning to a new series I'm calling F.A.B. Now, I know that doesn't make sense yet, but today's video is part of a series where I read my favorite authors' book recommendations, F.A.B for short, or I should go this way, F.A.B for short. Maybe I'll pick a different name. We're just trying things out. And the author I am doing today is John Green. Another John Green video, we love it. If you would consider liking this video, I would greatly appreciate that. These videos take months of preparation. The first book I read on this list, I read in like April. So it's been in the works for a while. And if you watched my last video ranking all the books I read so far this year, you know, naturally will have seen some of them before, but bear with me. I have some fresh takes prepared on them today. I've gathered 5 of John Green's book recommendations from a video he made and a Goodreads article that I will link in the description. But first I want to introduce you to why I like John Green. And this is really an interesting question because I've realized that I've accidentally read all of his books. I didn't even mean to, it just happened over time. I don't know, he's written like probably 13 books, and it was kind of just the thing to read in high school. Maybe I made it a goal of mine to read them all, but you know, I accidentally have. And my favorite book of his is actually his nonfiction book. And speaking of the Anthropocene reviewed, my reviews in this video are modeled after the way John Green would review things in that book, so it's a little nod to that. But yes, let's get into it. First up is We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. And this book, I always say in this book when I introduce books, but now you're always going to notice it, so you have to suffer too. The plot for this book is that Marin is a freshman in college, and she has chosen to spend her winter break at college in like snowy, cold New York, and it's very like isolated. Like her roommate has gone home and she's preparing for Mabel's arrival, and Mabel was/is her childhood best friend, and they had a little romantic tension going on in the past, and that's brought up again. Mabel is coming to visit from California, and you know, Marin was perfectly fine leaving all those things behind in California, including her grandfather's death and all the secrets that he left. I really like what Nina LaCour has done with the locations in this book and how they reflect the mental states of the characters. It's a lonely book, but not in a bad way, like just a comfortable aloneness, and it reminded me of how John Green's characters sometimes feel. I don't know, I just feel like I understand why John Green likes this book, but I can't put my finger on it. It's a sad book. The ending, however, is not sad. It feels like hope. I give We Are Okay 4 stars. Next is a nonfiction book. It is Why Fish Don't Exist by Lulu Miller, and I was tricked into liking nonfiction? What? It is narrated by the author herself. I read the audiobook. All but the last book I'm going to talk about I listened to on audiobook. Back to the book. It is narrated by the author herself, and she looks to the light of David Starr Jordan to answer questions about her own grief and trauma and like why we exist and like keep existing. David Starr Jordan was a taxonomist, I'm pretty sure. From the 19th century, he was a fish taxonomist, and that's a person who categorizes things, and his obsession was with fish. And Lulu goes through his timeline and literally visits some of the places he went. We find out some pretty nasty things about him. He's not really, like, he's a eugenicist. Let's just put it like that. This book was an easy, quick read. It was only 5 hours and I finished it in 2 days. It has a really engaging opening. Honestly, if it hadn't, I don't think I would have kept reading it because, as I've said before, it takes a lot to get me to read a nonfiction book. It took John Green to get me to read a nonfiction book, and I ended up loving his nonfiction book, so maybe we can call that character growth. This book, while being existential and questioning the meaning of life, also left me hopeful at the end, and I'm sensing a trend in the books that John recommends. I think they must end in hope. I give Why Fish Don't Exist 4.5 stars. Better than a fiction book? What? Next is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and I feel like I was slacking by not reading this the year it came out. Everyone says it's a really powerful book, impactful and important, and I must agree. There was a great narrative voice. Bonnie Turpin has narrated a slew of other YA books, some I've read before, and she's just really talented. Immediately in the first chapter, Angie Thomas delivers an immediate sense of community, and there's a lot of social information about the characters. We open with a party. It's intense, and I just checked the back cover copy, so I can say this spoiler. But the book follows this girl, Star, and she and her friend Khalil go to a party, and they leave after a gun is shot, and on the way home they are stopped by a policeman, and Star's friend Khalil is shot by the police. And the plot revolves around what Star is going to say, and if she's going to come forward and say anything, if she wants to reveal herself as the witness. It's very gritty. There is more police violence and injustice in this book that is racially motivated, and if you're sensitive to that or find that emotionally expensive, then this book may not be coming to you at the right time. Angie Thomas was very good at writing an empathetic point of view. This book also ends with hope, and there's something very powerful. I was really like you get him, you get him, Star. I think you should read it, and I'm kind of sad I didn't read it earlier. It came out in 2017, but it's definitely still relevant even though it's almost 5 years old. And also I just noticed that John Green is literally a blurb on the cover, so of course he likes it. I give The Hate You Give 4 stars. Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates is a memoir. I haven't read a memoir in a really long time, and this book is set up as a black man writing letters to his son, who I think is unborn. I will fact check myself on that. This book is really short, only 3.5 hours to listen to, and I don't listen at 1x either. It's about living and losing your bodily autonomy, about the school system. I'd like to read you a quote I have from the book, and this one I found really poignant and manages to sum up what the book is about, and I'll write it on screen. Americans believe in the reality of race as a defined, indubitable feature of the natural world. Racism is rendered as the innocent daughter of Mother Nature, and one is left to deplore the Middle Passage or the Trail of Tears the way one deplores an earthquake, a tornado, or any other phenomena that can be cast as beyond the handiwork of men. But race is the child of racism, not the father. Race is the child of racism, not the father. If you don't have time for The Hate You Give, this book, again, super short. It's important to expose yourselves to the reality of your society that you participate in and the structures you benefit from without even knowing and that are built for you. You know, I never would have picked up this book without it being recommended to me. I'm glad I'm starting this series to introduce me to, you know, just books I would normally pick up. I would have seen this and looked at the cover and been like, meh. But you know, don't judge a book by its cover. I give Between the World and Me 5 stars. The last book I'm talking about is called The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by, it's a lot of words to remember, The Inexplicable Logic of My Life by Benjamin Elire Senez. I have thoughts about this book, and it wasn't bad. It was just really slow to get into, but the chapters are set up, they're really short, and in a lot of them you could say nothing happens, but they all snowball together and push the plot forward just a little bit at a time. It was reading a similar way like a John Green book reads, so I found that very fascinating. Our main character Salvador's thought process is similar to a John Green character, and I was like, this is interesting. This book is about our main character Salvador really figuring out who he is. It's not a romance book, and I was expecting the whole time for there to some kind of scales to tip for there to be suddenly romance, but they stayed like this the whole time. And I think that's because I confused the cover with Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe, which is on my TBR. Sal was adopted by his Mexican dad, Vicente, who is gay. And in the beginning of the book, this guy, Enrique, calls Salvador's dad a slur, and he just pops him. It sends Salvador into like a spiral of like, who am I? Where did that come from? And like, am I even my thoughts? Do I have control of myself? And I think that's very relatable in a coming of age book, to just be unsure of like how to exist. It's my fault for assuming there would be romance in this book. I kept reading and I was like, are they gonna kiss? But they never did. It's really a book that celebrates friendship. It's a nice change of pace. I just wish I had actually paid attention that there wasn't any romance to begin with. So this book was slow to get into, and it wasn't as entertaining for me as I wanted. It was long, but just things happen in this book one after the other, and just when you've gotten another breath, another thing hits. It's very true to life in that bad news sometimes comes in packs. It's a book about friendship and what to do with anger and grief. It's messy, and I give The Inexplicable Logic of My Life 3 stars. Okay, so how was that? I noticed we've had a lighting change since I started this video. I hope it's not too dark. Let me know what you think of this series idea. I think I'm at least gonna do one more video because I would love to read Victoria Schwab's favorite books. And then maybe Neil Gaiman. Yes, I have ideas for this series. Let me know some of your favorite authors. Maybe like we can use this series as a way to discover new authors. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. But let me know in the comments down below. You can put your favorite authors, or if you've read any of these books. I would particularly recommend We're Okay, Why Fish Don't Exist, and Between the World and Me. Although really, the books you're gonna like is personal taste. But yeah, those are my takes on these 5 of John Green's book recommendations. And brings us to the close of the first episode of the first video in this F.A.B series, this fabulous series. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. Again, you're on Grayson's Bookmark if you didn't know that already. I post on Thursdays at 2 p.m. with room for bonus content, and I am going into college in the fall, so there may not be every Thursday a video, but I never said every Thursday. You know how it is, college is a lot. I wish I had like the community tab that would let me post updates like, hey, this will be later, or hey, I'm posting 2 videos this week. Maybe one day. But thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, I'm gonna have to reach. Pretty sure her name is Jennifer. Oh, she's not Jennifer. Okay.